Good evening, I'm John Batchelor. This is the John Batchelor Show, the night before the primary in New York State. A late primary, nonetheless, it is part of the story of the midterm election which is driving the news right now. This is a wave year, a wave election, and we have one of the surfers himself with us in studio. Joining me tonight, and I have a wonderful crowd here, Devin Nunes of 21 California, the San Joaquin Valley, who publishes his first book, Restoring the Republic, a clear, concise, and colorful blueprint for America's future. Devin, a very good evening to you and welcome.
Well, thank you, John. It's great to be back and here in the studio. And as you know, you've already seen my book. You were one of the first that I let read it.
Well, I said you could write is what I said. I didn't say you had to go out and get a big-time publisher and sell a lot of books, but congratulations, Devin.
Well, thank you.
We will talk about it tonight. I want to introduce my co-hosts. My co-host for the evening, John Avlon of CNN and the Daily Beast. John, good evening to you.
Good evening, John.
The evening before the wave election in New York State, we have much to say about New York State, and especially about Charlie Rangel's race in 18 New York. That'll come up in another segment. I also welcome Simon Constable, who is my stand-in guest host routinely on Saturday nights, and he joins us tonight because he was released from his slavery position at a certain large corporation where he's on air all day long at WSJ.com. Simon, good evening.
Good evening, John.
Simon, you hear about the wave all the time at the WSJ.
Yeah.
At this point, are they still talking that the wave is building, or is everybody acting as if there's a contrary argument?
Well, obviously, there's a lot of journalists there who like to give both sides of the situation, the Democratic side, the Republican side, the Tea Party side, where it counts. What I'm seeing and what the people I listen to are saying is that if you're an incumbent this year, it's going to be really tough on you, and if you're a Democratic incumbent, it's going to be even tougher. So yeah, there's a wave coming, and people recognize it's coming. People also recognize that what the government's done on the job situation just isn't working right now.
We just so happen to have an incumbent in the room. Devin, that describes you. Do you feel like you have a target on your back?
Well, I do, and luckily the only person I have to get past is myself. I don't have any competition in this election, which is part of the reason why I'm here in New York. Hopefully not going to screw anything up here for the Republicans. But, I think it goes back to the incumbents that voted for the first bailout 2 years ago, that then gave way to this new era of socialism or socialistic policies in this country that led to the stimulus, that led to the health care bill, that led to the cap and trade bill, even though it hasn't passed the Senate yet. I think if you voted for those bills, you have big problems on your hand because no one read the bills. They were forced through Congress. There were no hearings. People, the polls clearly show now that people are against health care entirety. And so this is going to be a bad election if you voted for bailouts, voted for stimulus, voted for health care, and voted for cap and trade.
I wonder how much of it's policy specific and how much of it is just a wave. I think it is being driven enormously by emotion right now, not just anti-incumbent, a lot of frustration with the economy. You see independent voters swinging hard against the administration, and Democrats in particular, and a lot of Democrats are in denial about that. One of the things that's most interesting to me, and tomorrow's the final primary. You've got 7 states in the District of Columbia. And one of the dynamics we've seen all year is rhino hunting on the right and dino hunting on the left. And it looks like Adrian Fenty, the mayor of Washington, D.C., may go down tomorrow. Looks like Mike Castle, who was the prohibitive favorite to pick up Joe Biden's seat for the Republicans, a huge win, classic centrist Northeast Republican, getting primaried by the right from this woman, Christine O'Donnell. It's Chris Christie backing Mike Castle versus Sarah Palin backing Christine O'Donnell. And these are high-stakes races, and there's an element of irrational anger undercutting. And people need to be careful about how much they cultivate the anger, because ultimately it can consume.
Now, John, we don't want to discourage people from being upset, do we? We're not counseling moderation, are we, Mr. Avlon?
I'm the fighting center.
Oh, here we go. Now, Devin, you're going to win a success in this election, we're told by everybody, and I know Charlie Cook is going along with this wave. Is this success right now something that you can describe? How does it feel, in other words, to know that the success is nothing about you? They keep repeating this. It's not about you guys. It's just about the fact that it's not the Democrats. How do you translate this for your constituents and for the American people?
I'm very concerned, which is why I wrote this book. And that's really what this book is about. It's a warning to the American people And this is we're in a time period in this country right now that if the Republicans win, we are going to be faced with huge budget deficits, these tax cuts that will have expired, a health care bill with really no ability, even if we get control of the Senate, that would be a miracle, but if we got control of the Senate, you still need 60 votes. So you're going to have high unemployment, Republicans in control of the Congress, Obama in the White House, and it's going to be sad because good for, I think, for gridlock, but at the same time, gridlock is going to lead to big problems that aren't going to be solved unless we get serious about solving them.
Congressman, a lot of people voted for the current administration because they were dissatisfied with what was going on under the previous administration. They wanted something better. It was called change. Obviously, that hasn't turned out very well. It looks like the wave is coming back again. If they don't get the change they want for something better this next go around, what happens to all those voters? Do they just become dissatisfied with the entire system and walk away? Do we have a system that's left where there's no real mandate from the people for the system and you get a minority of voters? I paint a bleak picture, but it would be very easy to see us getting there, right?
Well, I think the reason why you see the people out in droves right now is because people are worried about their livelihoods. They're worried about where their next paycheck's going to come from. And when you look at the independents and the moderates, I think what they're seeing is that they saw a lot of these bills pass. Let's just take stimulus, for example, or the bailout. Those are two really good examples where we spent $2 trillion. And they're saying, you know, if any of us go and spend that kind of money in our own household and we don't get the results, you know, guess what? My wife's going to be talking to me, right? And so this is a situation where we've spent a lot of money and the problems aren't being solved.
But how much if people are angry about jobs? Everybody knows that people are nervous about the economy. But if Republicans believe in less government, we need to tackle the debt and the deficit, and they believe that tax cuts will stimulate the economy more than any government spending, what is the relationship to that with also telling people, and don't worry, we're going to bring down the debt and the deficit? I mean, there's sort of two separate messages here, and for Republicans who don't believe the government can improve the economy on its own, it's kind of a tough sell, it seems to me, in the long term.
Well, Mr. Avlon, that's why I think I need to get you a copy of my book.
Good.
Because I am concerned about that, and I write about that, because if we don't deal with the big problems, and I feel we have to actually go out to the people, because the people want to know what the problems are. They want to understand them. They're tired of politicians telling them, oh, this is a very complex problem in Washington. Let me, the politician, handle it. No, they're not that complex. Right. But it does take a change in thinking. And what I believe is that the Republicans have to get back to, it's not about less government. It's about individual rights for Americans. And when you look at what have we done with the health care bill, what have we done with Medicare, what have we done with Social Security, what have we done with the stimulus bills, what have we done with the bailouts, we've centralized power in Washington, and we've taken away power from ultimately the individual. And there are ways to fix it, but it's going to take the education of the American people.
We're going to plunge into the primaries next. Restoring the Republic, a clear, concise, and colorful blueprint for America's future. Devin Nunes, congressman from 21 California right now. He's an author with a book to sell. And I want to thank Simon Constable because he has taken moments out of his sleep to come here with us tonight. Simon, thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure.
You're due on camera within hours, Simon.
Apparently, yes.
Yeah. Simon of WSJ.com, who closes the market in the afternoon, and we'll speak of the market tonight because things are looking more positive. I'm told from the guys who follow this in the Chicago Board of Trade, and my co-host for the evening, John Avlon of CNN and of the Daily Beast, I'm John Batchelor.